How do you come up with the ideas for designing? Do you sit at home and draw them out? Where does it all come from?
Whenever I try and do that with a blank piece of paper, I always end up with a blank piece of paper. There's nothing like walking on the ground, looking at the ground and letting the ground talk to you, to tell you what type of fence, what shape of fence, what's going to work on that particular piece of ground. And sitting at home with a blank piece of paper on a flat table, it never works, because even here, which is basically a flat course, the ground is not totally flat. There's little undulations here and there, and there's those undulations and those little variations in ground level that you try to use all the time, which is why you can't just turn the course around the other way, because an undulation one way doesn't work necessarily going the other way.
Do you find yourself as a former top rider, do you find yourself sort of riding? I mean, when you're walking around, do you literally kind of put yourself as you would do as a rider and almost walk the lines, when you're coming up with the ideas originally?
No, I mean, I'd walk the lines and the distances as if I was going to ride them, but I've got no desire to do it anymore. No, I retired after the Seoul Olympics in 1988, and I still wanted to do it, I'd do it. But having had that experience for over 20 years riding internationally, and then having been coaching international teams for another 25 years, I still have a pretty good instinct about how the horses are going to react to a piece of ground, and therefore what's going to work on a particular piece of ground.
Because there's quite a big debate going on at the moment, isn't there? Or it seems to be going on all the time, that do you have to have been riding at the top level to be able to design at the top level? What's your take on that?
Well, I think it helps. I never say never. It helps, but also there's people designing that have not ridden so much, but I think whether you've ridden or not ridden, but particularly if you haven't ridden, you've got to watch an awful lot, because watching and seeing how horses react to different shapes and different pieces of ground, that really tells you what works and what doesn't work and what you can do in the future. But also colours, the contrast, the shades and things, because we know all four-legged animals see in contrast, and two-legged animals and birds see in colour. We know that we're predators because we've got the eyes on the front of our face, and the horses are prey animals because they got the eyes on the side, so they see front and back. So when you're designing, you've got to very much take into consideration what the horse is seeing and how the horse sees it, and also give the horse time to evaluate what it's got to do in terms of how it's going to solve the puzzle, solve the question.
Tell me about the new safety fences on the course.
Well, safety is something that's always in the front of every designer's mind, but it's impossible to make this sport safe. It's a bit like driving a motor car. You try to make it safe, but eventually, if something comes around the corner on the wrong side of the road, you're going to get hit. Well, it's the same with these fences. But we got a new thing this time with the brush fences, where the back of them collapses and goes away. It won't necessarily stop the horse from falling, but what we're really trying to stop is the rotational fall, where the horse comes over and lands on top of the rider. So it'll be interesting to see, and it's Mark's contribution to maybe the future of safety at Luhmühlen this year.
But I think that's what we need, isn't it? People like you who've got so much experience coming up with these ideas. I mean, some of them will work, some of them won't work, but something has to be done, as you say.
Well, I think we're always trying to do something. Every fence is a shape for a reason. It's not just because when you see here the DHL, you've got a cabin behind you. It's that shape, like a cabin, for a reason. It's a cabin, not a box, because a box shape wouldn't work so well in that position. So the materials you use, the colours you use, the profiles, there's a reason at every fence. There's no fence just gets put there because it's just come out of the off the yard, and we'll stick this one there for good luck. There's a reason behind every one.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Thank you
very
much, Mark.
Thank you.